Welcome to Washington Football Week with your host, one half of that dynamic duo, Sean Spencer, and South Carolina's finest, Will Kramer.
Don't play us if you're undefeated.
Where we celebrate past success while looking to a bright future. There's a youth movement in Washington, and they're ready to take the reins, led by firefighters.
Play aggressive.
It's a new day, a new dawn, no longer the laughing stock. It's time to take them.
What is going on, ladies and gentlemen? It is your boy Sean Spencer, one half of that dynamic duo that's Let's Talk Football. And you know what day it is, ladies and gentlemen. It's Wednesday. Happy Hump Day. And that means I'm with this guy right here, South Carolina's finest, Will Kramer. What, Will?
Sean, it's late July.
Mm-hmm.
The summer is ending, and we back.
Mm-hmm.
We took a lot of time off. I appreciate you allowing me to have the summer off, where I kept messaging you saying, I got nothing to talk about tonight. It's been a fun summer, but training camp has started, and that just – I don't know what season this is. You know better than me, but we're back.
Hey, we're back. It's gotten lost in the weeds which season we're on. We've been going for so daggone long. And hey, you're absolutely right. We're back live and in front of you on this Wednesday, talking about what we love to talk about, which is the Washington Commanders football team, or Redskins, depending on who you ask. Oh man, who knows what's happening with that? But look, ladies and gentlemen, hope all of you are doing well. Hope your summer's going well. But like my guy said, we are back. Training camp is here. We got people coming out to see the games. But I gotta say, we got one. Hold up, we got people in the comments. That production's already here. What is going on?
Anthony obviously has not been a part of the Sean Spencer production, because every week Sean Spencer is willing to go. He's like, Do you guys want to go? What about that? You want to go? You want to go now? So
absolutely.
No, he's not familiar with Sean. Drops everything for a podcast.
Always ready. Always. Don't. If you stay ready, so you don't have to get ready. You know, maybe what's going on. But look, like we said, fans are back, coaches, players. Everybody is here at training camp, but not everybody is suited up. Will, there's actually a notable absence, even though he did make an appearance. Will, the only thing that we've been able to talk about over this last month and a half, Terry McLaurin, contract talks are still going. And Will, I'm going to send this to you. I mean, is there a deal to get done? Is there irrevocable damage? Like, can we work this out at this point? Will.
I sure hope so. This is going longer than I thought. And all summer long in the chat that we have with you and Ab, I kept basically telling y'all to shut up. Stop being worried. This is nothing. It's May. I'm not going to talk about this. It's June. I'm not going to talk about this. It's July. Nobody's doing business in the NFL. I'm not talking about this, was my response. And all of a sudden, training camp opened up, and there's no Terry. And that was not what I was expecting. And now we've gone through basically a week, and there's still no Terry. So I'm getting a little worried. I'm not going to lie. Now I'm starting to hit the panic button, only because I thought when he came on Sunday and started to do a hold in, that he'd be out there on the field. I thought like what we saw today from the Bengals and Trey Hendrickson's right next to their first round pick, Shamar Stewart, talking to him. That's a different vibe than I'm not even going to be at the facility. Right. That is different. So my frustration level is kind of getting high on this to wonder. And yeah, I'm going to stop there. My frustration level is getting hot, getting pretty high. And I'll let you share your thoughts.
Yeah, no, I'll be honest. I'm downright kind of starting to get a little pissed off about this. You know what I mean? It's kind of like, where do we stand here? You know what I mean? Like, we're not talking about a disgruntled player. We're not talking about somebody that is, played maybe 2 or 3 years and had one good year. We're talking about somebody that has been consistently good, who's been consistently biding his time with all of the many different quarterbacks that we've had. And it's kind of like, on one side, okay, why aren't we getting this done? And then on the other side, you see something like that where you see Terry show up, you see the fans erupt, everybody's excited, we all went and paid. But then I'm not going to lie, when I saw him show up, the first thing I thought is I went right back to last year. And I remember looking at Brandon Ayuk on the sidelines and him walking, having his little, hold in or whatever. Yeah. And eventually he got paid, but then he gets hurt. Now, you don't know what's going to happen, but Will, I just feel like the more time we're taking to get this done, that can't be good in the long run. I mean, we know, as we've all talked about, Terry's getting to that age, that point of no return, right. With 30 being the age where everybody's sitting here saying, okay, here's the cliff. You know what I mean? So I want him back. I want him back on the field. I want us to be able to get this over with and just move on. But I mean, what are your thoughts? What are your thoughts about that? About the 30 thing? Because we've talked about that. We've talked about it. And obviously, for most NFL players, 30 is that cliff. Now, there have been a couple outliers: the Aaron Rodgers, the Tom Brady's. Somebody will talk about Art Monk, Darryl Green. Those guys played, deep into their career, but it's just not common these days. Thankfully, Terry hasn't had any real major injury issues, but is that a reason why we're kind of in this place? Because he's getting older? Or, I mean, what could it be?
I think so, yes. And I think we need to really emphasize when Sean says he's getting frustrated. Every time we talk about this on the group chat, he just writes, pay the man.
Yeah.
And then he goes away. So, yes, I'm with you. I think it's simple. Ben, I love that question. I think Hendrickson gets it before Terry does because he's there. Parsons isn't getting his until he comes to Washington next year, so he won't be getting paid. But I just, because like you, I really thought things would be further along, and to hear that like for the whole month of July, Terry came back a week early. He did an Eastern Motors commercial. He was like, "We haven't spoken in a month." I'm like, "What are y'all doing?" Like, and when you ask like what's going to happen, it really kind of seems like his team is here, the Commanders are here, and nobody is willing to budge one bit. And I don't get that. And like, I'm kind of like you. Yes, the philosophy is you don't pay for past performances, but man, Terry dealt with so much crap with this organization. And we are talking about the team captain. We're talking about a model citizen. This is not hey, he's a good player, but my gosh, is he awful in the locker room and he's a pain in the ass to work with. This is your dream player that you want to have on your franchise, much in the same way Jaden is. And it's like, you know what? This regime didn't draft him. They didn't put I was about to say Rex Grossman. That's not it. They didn't have him catching lollipops from Taylor Heineke, and then get popped by people. But the organization did. And so Terry deserves, if Terry wants 30, and right now you think he should get 27, 28, give him 30. We've got the cap space. We can handle this. You can absorb this other ways. They need to just pay him.
And that's what I think is the problem for me, because, I mean, outside of, obviously, the GOAT, Tress Way, Terry has been the only solid point where you can always point to him, no matter if we are 4-13 or if we're 12-5, whatever the record we are, playoffs or not, he is always showing up. You talk about those lollipops that Heineke threw. What was our favorite phrase? F it, he's down there somewhere. You know what I mean? Just chuck it up there and let's see what happens. And I mean, I agree. You don't pay for past success, but I do think you pay for consistency. When Quinn and Peters and those guys came in, you didn't have many things to work with. You might have, tried to work here and there, but we've seen a lot of Ron's guys are gone. Terry has been the constant force. He's good, and he goes about everything the right way. He could very well be out here in public talking and telling people, hey, I don't know what their issue is. I need to get my money. But he's not doing that. He's doing what he's supposed to be doing. And it just begs the question, what is it really? I mean, is it replacing all the old talent? Because I when we got Debo, I didn't think Debo was meant to be here to replace Terry. I thought he was going to be an addition to work with Terry. So we have a situation kind of like Tampa with Evans and Godwin, where we have two studs. You know what I mean? So it just really baffles me about what we're doing. But I think that lends to the question, what is the best move here? What's the best move for us? And what's the best move for Terry at this point? I mean, the age is an issue. I mean, if we're looking at it from that perspective, but I mean, he's been productive each year. We've talked about the people that he's kind of around, and those didn't Schefter come out with something saying, he kind of wants maybe a little bit more like DK money or a little bit more than that. Right. What's the best move? What's the next move, Will?
Well, so you said, what's the problem here? I think it's just money, and that's what we don't know is, are the Commanders saying we're going to give you 28 and Terry's camp is saying we want 35? Because that's a big difference, Yeah. And I do think we know these guys are very methodical. They've got to, this is our price. This is where we came from. This is where we want you at. But the problem is what Ben just said. This is where I'm like, you pay him, because there are 31 other teams that will say, we'll take him. We'll give him a little bit more then, So that's why I think you just gotta, if you want to call it swallow the pride a little bit, go ahead. If you want to say you gave him more than you normally would, just go ahead. But keep this guy in DC and let him be part of the next 3 years, or make it a 2-year contract with the 3rd year option. And what we all know, he's, it's a 2-year deal and he can move on.
Yeah. Let's just, let's work this thing out. If we're talking to Adam Peters, Quinn, all those guys, let's work this out. And we're going to get into a little bit later how they're honoring some of the old players, and they're honoring the people that really worked great for our team. But you got to start with the guys you have now. You got to start with the guys that as soon as you came in day one, when we talked about when Coach Quinn and they had that interview, who was in the front row? Terry. Terry's up there ready to let's get this thing started. So I understand the business side of it, but there's a certain time where you just have to sit there and be like, you got to do what's right. It's not pay the man.
And like you said, if we don't get this going, if we let this linger on, what type of conditioning and is he missing out on? Yes, he's probably in shape, but can he be with the team and that type of stuff?
But in his football shape, you know what I mean? We all know guys can be in shape, but that speed, that quickness of the game, we'll see. So, Terry, we don't know what's going to happen. Obviously, we're going to be paying attention to it. We've been following it throughout this offseason. We've been going back and forth in the group chat about it. Is he going to get paid? Can he get paid? X, Y, and Z. But one thing we know is he did show up to camp, but he's not practicing at camp. But because training camp is here, so there are a bunch of other people. And it was so cool to see. I followed it back and forth. My eyes have really been on this whole Terry thing. But it was great to see a lot of the guys that we were excited about getting coming on. And we're going to go into a stock up, stock down. And I'm going to start off Debo. I mean, the we've seen the off season kind of videos about him doing a little speed training and working and grinding. He said he kind of has that rejuvenation, that the resurgence. He feels good about it, and he hasn't disappointed. Him and Jaden are on the same page. They're playing well at camp in just the first week. This is what I wanted to see. Mind you, it's just training camp, but still that connection. And this is kind of where I don't want to say it's positive that Terry's not there, but there is no split in connection now. Now it's me and Jaden and Debo. We can go one-on-one. I am right now the number one guy, so let's work that out. And I think that's getting in that extra practice. I love this. Having Debo here, still kind of shocked that we had it a year ago. We were sitting here talking about Ayuk. We're going to get Ayuk over here. And then a year later, we get Debo. So it tells you how much we know. But Will, that's my first stock up. I really feel, and that's there's going to be a little trend with some of mine, but I really feel like with him, he is getting a lot of the main reps. He's getting a lot of the attention, and he seems to be really rejuvenated coming into Washington and at the prospect of what we could be potentially.
You know what impresses me about Debo being your stock up is because we're talking about him as a wide receiver. Mm-hmm. And I really feel like he's the type of player that training camp does not highlight what he does.
Yeah.
And neither will preseason, because they're not going to run him. He's not, he may not run people over as much. He's not going to do it during training camp. We'll see preseason, but the stuff he brings to the game doesn't show up in practice like that.
Right.
And so the fact that he's making plays as a wide receiver is an added element to his game, which is really exciting. So, I love that idea. I'm going to talk with a guy who's the hit of camp right now. He's our 7th round draft pick. I can't believe you didn't pick this, being what you were at Herndon High School. It is our running back, Ja'Cory Krosky Merritt, otherwise known as Bill.
Right.
Don't ask me how that is the case.
What?
But Bill is trending like he's going to get a whole lot of bills in his future, the way things are going. And for the first time, they put the pads on earlier this week, and he burst through the line, and he popped last year's training camp hero, which is the safety Owens. He popped him and kept going. Ooh. And, they talked about him. He's a one-cut back. He hasn't played a lot in the last 2 years. He does not have a lot of wear on his tread. And it's just showing that he is making the most of every opportunity. You talked about without Terry there, some of these wide receivers are getting a chance. And you're seeing with JCM, I mean, they're inching him forward, little by little, to the point where at yesterday's practice or today's practice, they had him running with the ones. Now, that's part of training camp. You're going to want to mix things up. But I also think they're taking a hard look here to see what does this guy bring. We know we got Brian Robinson. We know we got Austin Eckler. We know what we had in Rodriguez and McNichols last year. So what does this guy bring that is a complement to those guys that we already know, versus what could he bring that is something different to what we have established? And I think it's really exciting to watch. I mean, everyone's falling in love with this guy, but he's impressing early. And I think we kind of had a thought after the draft. You could hear them. They were excited about this guy. So it's like they think they found something here. It'll be fun to watch.
Oh, yeah. And shout out to you and Ab, who definitely were talking about him after we got him in the draft. I believe he was ineligible. I think he only played one game last year, but he over 1,000-yard rusher the year before and was a stud, and that was the only reason he dropped. So we actually got him at kind of a steal when you really think of it. This guy, his explosiveness, his ability to kind of just cut on a dime and get it going. I love it. I knew you were wanting to talk about it, and I'm not. There's 2 people that I'm not taking from you, and I know you're going to talk about the other guy in a minute. But I absolutely like what he brings to the table, and the fact that we know what our first 2 are. We know Eckler and we know Robinson. If we can get this guy some snaps, I really want to see him in live game speed, especially when it comes and we're facing somebody other than ourselves. and see how well he does and how that translates into the year. But we know Robinson and Eckler last year both dealt with injury issues at times for a significant amount of time, and we relied on the Rodriguez's and McNichols and some of those guys. So Karofsky Merritt has an opportunity to come in there and really show up. For me, I just keep kind of drawing a parallel to like maybe a Bucky Irving for Tampa Bay. Somebody's quick, somebody that can hit the hole quickly, but maybe we can get him out in the backfield, toss a little ball to him, get him in space, and really let his ability to move in space shine and stuff like that. So for me, again, with stock up, and I'm just going to go to the same place I went, and that's wide receivers. Everything you see, there's a theme. Everything is surrounded by Terry in this, and the fact that he's not there is now giving an opportunity to some of our wide receivers, some of them, to shine. Again, it's just the first week, so we'll see what happens. Another guy that we talked about that was making an impact, J.C. Lane, the wide receiver from Virginia Tech. I mean, if he's another one like Merritt, where if we can get him on the same page, get him in these early reps and get him to have early success and build his confidence, could he be a number 3? Could he be our slot? Could he be somebody that can really help to, as hopefully Terry and Debo occupy, maybe deep in the middle of the field, this guy comes up the seam and works with, Ertz and some of those guys and really get some attention from us. So, I mean, we're talking about more weapons for Jaden, but we're also talking about Jaden working with the guys that he has not worked with yet. And that's something that I think is key, giving him as many reps as he can with Jason Lane, with Debo, with some of these other guys, even Merritt. So now he's getting a feel of how you catch, how you run your routes, how you play. So yeah, that's what it is for me. And like I said, not just Lane, but all of that wide receiver room. This is an opportunity to step up, because once Terry gets back, and we're going to assume that he's coming back, he's getting his deal, he's going to get the first all the reps, him and Debo. So it's really going to be slim pickings for some of you other guys, because we do have Ertz, who, was one of our best. Did he lead the team last year in receiving? Or maybe he was one of the top 3.
He was the top 3.
Yeah. So, and if we can get another 17 out of him, not including playoffs and things like that, he's going to be a big part of it. So we really, really want to have the more weapons we can for Jaden Daniels. So that wide receiver room, that's my stock up. Hey, let's take advantage of this opportunity. Who is your stock up? I don't know who it could possibly be.
Yeah, I'm going to toot my own horn here in just 1 second. I was actually at the house that Frank Beamer built on Saturday night. I was up in the University Club, and I took a picture of Lane Stadium that I'll show you. And you're right. You know what I see with Jalen Lane? There's 2 places I see him becoming a factor. One is taking that Diami role of going over the top, like you just said. But the second one is going to be taking over the return game and removing Austin Eckler from that. So Austin Eckler can have more touches when he's at running back, where he flashed at times. So, I love that. I love that we're seeing Lane instantly kind of catch on with the team. So my stock up is going to be a position group as well. One that was really bad last year, really bad, to the fact that we cut one of them mid-season, and the other one we just told to just grab waters, just go. Make sure that we're staying hydrated. Right. And that is our corners. And we're hearing from 2 already that are making an impact. The first one that's making an impact is our second-year guy, Mike Sanders still.
Yes.
And we were wondering, okay, do we move this guy to slot? Like, he didn't play bad at all as the outside corner. Like, okay, he's smaller, but he didn't play bad. He showed he could hold his own. Well, he just slid over, and he's been seamless, and he's been a terror all over the field. And you're starting to see he's going to be the team captain next year on defense.
Oh, absolutely.
he has taken over that role as a leader already in training camp. Him and Jaden are jawing at each other, which that's what he does with Bobby Wagner. That's also a sign of respect when your star quarterback is going after, a player on the defensive side of the ball. So Sanders off to a hot start. And he's off to a hot start because our second round pick, Trey Amos, is looking everything like the part.
Yep.
From what I heard, like people said, like it's early. They're not doing a whole lot. We fell in love with Benjamin St. Juste in training camp his rookie year too. But they're just they're like Manuel Forbes, but they're like, this guy's just kind of built different. When they drafted Forbes, there was a little bit of talk of like, man, this guy's pretty skinny. Now that you see him out here, I think I got stronger calves in this guy. This is a little bit of concern coming from the beat writers. But they're watching Amos. They say he's just fluid out there. He's got a bigger frame. They're just like, he looks the part. He certainly looks really comfortable and really good on that field right now. So I'm loving the pick. I went nuts on draft weekend when that was our second round pick. I'm like, this is what we needed.
Yep.
So I love seeing it.
Now I want to say, he's battle tested because he's from the SEC. But we've had a guy from the SEC, so that doesn't really work well with Emmanuel Forbes.
State does not translate.
They are in the SEC right now.
Mississippi State at one point was churning some guys into the league, so I have to take that back.
Oh man, no, it is a great sight to seeing our offense and our defense kind of go back and forth and challenge each other. You know how I feel about Sam Still. That's was the equivalent of Trey Amos for me last year. I don't think we should be surprised that wherever they move him, Sam Still seems to pick it up. He's a student of the game, high football IQ. The guy is great all around. So shout out to him. And I just look to see how he and Amos, and then obviously we got Lattimore as well, and then you got your guys in the second in the backfield, the safeties. Like I'm really looking to see how they gel together because, as you said, that was one of those places where we were just kind of like, we got linebackers, we showed up on the D line, but there wasn't many people we were naming on the D line. It was just like, oh great, he had success, but that secondary was definitely a whole bunch of that, and it was just it wasn't working.
The ball is 10 feet over their head,
all the way over his head, and he's gonna celebrate this guy. Johnny Dean's in the comments. What's going on? He said, "What year did Terry get drafted?"
2019.
19, yeah. 2019.
Case Keenum rolled him out week 1, 2019, and then by that, Keenum got hurt. Haskins came in. And then Gruden got fired. Yeah.
Good old Terry. So look, we want him in here, and again, this is week 1. We'll see how training camp goes as it goes down the line. But hey, it's good to have football back. And as I said, my theme this week is wide receivers, and part of that is because, like I alluded to earlier, we have done since
we haven't done stock down.
I was trying to go away from that because I know what I'm going to talk about. Let's go stock down. Who's your stock down? Good call on that.
But I'm staying on wide receivers, and my stock down right now is Luke McCaffrey.
Yeah.
Right now, we're hearing about plays made by Jalen Lane. We're hearing plays made by Deebo Samuel. Heck, we're also hearing plays made by Ja'Cory Brooks, the undrafted free agent wide receiver out of Louisville, who's played at Alabama and Louisville. So this guy's got some pedigree behind him. We're not hearing anything about McCaffrey. And some of that could be, like we're not hearing anything about Ben Sinnott. Those aren't the routes that he runs that are going to impress you. It could be that type of situation. But I even remember I was listening to JP Finley over the weekend. And at one of the times after practice, he said, Luke, he's hot, he's cold. He's dropped some balls that you can't be dropping, and so I just, I'm expecting a step up from him in year 2. Yeah. And it's just, you're not hearing about good plays being made. Maybe there's routine plays being made that we're not aware of, that type of stuff. But it's like, I'm just not hearing it. right now after the first week of camp.
Yeah. And you and I have mentioned it. Shout out to Tina, who helps me host Let's Talk Football Breaking News, who loves that family, loves, obviously we know how great Christian McCaffrey is. And she was saying, hey, just give him time. But look, we've got now with Debo, now with Lane, and a lot of these other guys, there's a lot of mouths to feed in Washington, and Jaden's going to try to get it out there, but then also Jaden's going to use his legs and get out. So, the farther you fall down the depth chart, the harder it's going to be for you to make that time up. And if they're kind of going back and forth with Terry over money, it won't be anything for them to be like, all right, this isn't working. Let's see if you can go elsewhere, McCaffrey, and do it. So we'll see if that happens. But I too look at him and I'm like, I don't want to sit there and say it's a prove it year, but it is one of those situations where you're gonna have to turn it up because you're just getting buried on the depth chart. But at the end of the day, my maiden stock down is Terry. And I know there's not a lot he can do about that, except give in
Sign on
to
the dotted line.
Right. Well, yeah, but you know what I mean? Like, but he's standing his ground, and I respect that. But at the same time, it's that chemistry. This is a second-year quarterback. We got new players coming in. You got the chemistry and the flow with them. This is just not doing good for us coming to the NFC Championship. So much success last year, and then coming into this one. I understand how complicated these things get, but he's hurting himself not being out there and not playing. And the longer I don't know what's going to happen, the longer he's not here, it's just not going to be good.
I agree.
You can't pick up and get back on the field that quick, but we'll see what happens. Oh man. So that's my only stock down right now. Like we said, it's early, so I'm giving people the benefit of the doubt. But that's kind of where we stand now. As I alluded to a little bit earlier, we have been had a couple guys that were getting some attention ever since Josh Harris and Adam Peters and those guys have come in. They have made a point to go back to past Redskins, past Washington players that have had success and honor them. Obviously, we know how they looked at Doug Williams. Recently, we have seen they surprised our buddy Santana Moss.
Yes.
And they're putting him in the Ring of Fame. This is exciting to see. And Will, I'm going to be honest with you. You told me earlier he came from the Jets. I was like, I completely forgot that he was with the Jets at one point and came to us with that trade with Lavernius Coles. When I think of Santana Moss, I think of taking the top off the defense. I think of somebody that can catch the ball in a dime and then get upfield, almost like Gary Clark in his prime. Somebody that could take a short pass and then just somehow break a tackle or two and get up the field and outrace everybody. What are your thoughts about this and Santana?
I absolutely love it. It's the franchise recognizing that there are other guys there that need to be recognized, that need to be memorialized forever. And when we go into the new RFK Stadium to see the Ring of Fame with some of those names is going to be incredible. You think of Santana, we think of the Dallas game.
Yes.
You think about the Jacksonville game in overtime and the walk-off. You think about the Giants game on Christmas Eve when Patrick Ramsey came in and he snatched 3 touchdowns. And I heard him get interviewed and he said, it might have been Emmitt Smith. He said, Emmitt Smith said I wasn't a Pro Bowl receiver out there that season. So I just went out, caught 3 touchdowns and said, now what do you think? You know? But the part about Santana that I was even more impressed with is I saw it with him and I saw it with his buddy Clinton. They evolved as the team needed. Because when we first got him from the Jets, he was slimmer and he was our take the top off a guy. We would either throw it deep to him or Brunel would throw wide receiver screens. And we threw a lot of wide receiver screens to the point where I was like, good gosh, what are we doing? But every once in a while, he would take it and boom, 30 yards later, and he's in the end zone. So it was effective. I got why we did it. But you're just like, come on, let's get him deep. But then by the time Shanahan came over, and I don't know if it's because he was getting older, but he bulked up a little bit. And he also moved down to become a slot receiver. He did whatever the team needed to get open, and he kept his career going with us. And he went from being the outside receiver to being an inside receiver, and he was still effective way longer into his career than I anticipated. And he stayed here. He's been a guy in the community the entire time. He started getting early media stuff where I'll be truly transparent and say I kind of thought he was getting the gig because of his name, but he's gotten better and better and better.
It really is.
And
really
to where he is part of the Commanders team, of media folks that they have. And it's a great honor for him because he had a great career. He's one of the few final Redskins with Dan Snyder that went through some really bad coaches and some really bad seasons, but was a tremendous player year in and year out. So I love it. I love the fact that he's going to be up in the rafters like that.
Oh, absolutely. And you know what? I mean, we know about the players from the past and the Super Bowl era and the Redskins and all that type of stuff. But what I really like about this is, I mean, this wasn't our Super Bowl years. Brunell had some good years. We made the playoffs. We did a couple of good things, and especially throughout Santana's career. But, this was one of the guys that, we know and we really like, but he might not have had all the attention nationally that he's done. And we see how he's working in Washington, and I love that. But when I really think of Santana, I think the biggest thing that comes to me is the bond that he, Clinton Portis, and Sean Taylor had. That Miami love, that whole, when, Santana scores a touchdown and puts up the 2-1, that bond and that kind of how he elevated his game and how we talk about guys like Sam Still and guys like bringing successful guys that have potentially played together, guys that are trying to, that know how to win. Those guys had that. And in a time that we really were struggling and we needed that, you had guys that we all know what Sean Taylor was, and Clinton Portis, we know how great he was, and Santana was that third, that three, that another one of those guys that you just really can't go through that time period without mentioning Santana as one of the best guys and how close he was to Sean and trying to get him, on the up and up, and obviously with Sean, everything that happened. I mean, he really kind of showed me something that maturity at that time where he kind of was able to compartmentalize, this is what happened, but we got a ball, and he elevated his game. And I mean, throughout his career, like you were saying, and I all I could do is take my hat off and clap for Santana. I love what he's doing now. And like, to your point, he has gotten better, over there with Logan Paulson and some of those guys. But I went back and I watched some of his college highlights and watched some of, his stuff. I mean, this dude, could catch it, stop on a dime, quick move, and then book it. And then he's just gone. And I remember, and I didn't see him in college. I loved Miami, but I didn't know each of, those teams were stacked. You know what I mean? So, but when you look at it and then you think about it now in hindsight, it's like, oof, we got a stud. So, hey, much respect.
You talk about not knowing what he was everything in college. I remember watching him in college, and there was a lot of ties in that draft to the Skins drafting him, and it wasn't Rod Gardner that they selected. And I don't know, did they select a different receiver or did they not? I can't remember that time, but obviously we didn't draft him because the one concern people had was his size. And I still remember going to training camp that first year he's in DC with Joe Gibbs, and he came and did autographs. And and he was he was about my height. I was like, huh. Yeah. But I also was like, dude is jacked. He was way, they're bigger, but he was a skinnier guy coming out of college. He was a speed guy. So there was a lot of concerns. Could he make it in the league? And boy, did he show it. The fact that he's getting his name put up in the Ring of Honor, he showed him.
Yeah, mad respect to Santana Moss. And look, so glad he was there, played for us for all those years, man. I'm trying to think about who else we had at wide receiver at that particular time, because I can't. the names escape me. Chris Cooley. Did we have him?
Yeah.
H-back. Yeah, right. So that's not even wide receiver. So, but shout out to him. And they have brothers, Sonoris Moss.
Yes.
Didn't he go to Miami and play with them? So shout out to Moss and getting it done. And look, again, right along this lines of honoring the great players. You talk about Santana, who, for those of us for football fans, Washington fans for years and years, Santana was great. But you got to go way back for this next guy. And I'm going to be honest with you, Will. I love this move. This is one of the guys. I tell you, I don't get that many jerseys. But this is one of the guys I've definitely been thinking about maybe getting it. And I think it's going to have to happen. Washington is going to retire Art Monk's number 81 jersey. Will, we all know this guy for his great accolades. 940 total receptions, over 12,000 yards, 68 touchdowns in 16 seasons. He was with us through our Super Bowls. He's, just a consummate pro, just mature. Everything about this guy is something that you would point to, especially when I was as a coach. I would point to this guy and say, that's what you want to be like. You want to sit here and you work your butt off. You sit there, get on the field. You take a hit. You get up, hand the ball to the ref. Don't talk crap to everybody. You just keep working, go harder and harder each play. And Art Monk is the epitome of what I look at as. We talk about a great Redskin, a great just somebody that you can build on. This is that guy for me. So this is amazing. November 2nd is when they're going to retire his jersey against Seattle. And another thing is happening that day too, Will. What is it?
The jerseys are coming out.
Bring them back.
The old jerseys are coming out.
Bring them back. Oh, man. But yeah, Will, talk to me about this. Art Monk, the original member of the posse. Man, what you think?
So the wide receiver position has evolved since the days of Art Monk. And you can say guys like Terrell Owens and Marvin Harrison and Randy Moss are a better player at the end of their careers than what Art Monk was. Yeah. But most people, if you were in the 80s and 90s watching football, you would say Jerry Rice was the best wide receiver you ever saw. Yeah. But Art Monk was the second best then, if that's what you're going to say. There was a time when we were watching living greatest quarterbacks of all time, when it was Manning and Brady playing. Art Monk, when he was playing, was the GOAT of wide receivers. When he retired, he was the leading receiver of the NFL. He was the best, and he deserves all of this. Just Absolutely. Like it took him a while to get into the Hall of Fame, a while. He kept getting passed over by other guys who he had much better stats in, but they were a little bit older than him. So he just kept getting passed over, and you never heard him complain. So when he finally got in the Hall of Fame, when he stood, I'm going to watch this when we're done with this podcast, but do you remember when he got up there to give his speech and he had to wait 5 minutes because Redskins fans would not sit down and be quiet?
Yes.
Because we're like, about effing time.
Yeah.
You let this guy. And this is the same reaction. That place is going to go nuts when they see him there. I just got chills. Because he is a legend for Washington, and it should never have taken this long. No. And it just shows again how much the Harris ownership group is restoring what is right about the franchise. I love it.
Right. And I think you hit the nail on the head. It's about time, But then again, part of me is glad that it didn't happen under the Snyder regime, because as we saw how they totally botched that whole Sean Taylor statue and all that stuff. Art, we can't. Not that we should have disrespected Sean's legacy like that, but Art, you can't do that. You can't. You have people from way back when that love and honor and revere this guy, and guys like us that grew up as he was ending his career. But to your point, it just it was, I mean, we talk about people that we've actually seen play. I can't speak for guys that played, in the 70s and 80s. I've seen highlights, but I literally lived through Art's career. And didn't Daryl Green get in the Hall of Fame the same year Art did?
They were together. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, another one that took too long to get in there. But I mean, you think about the two of those guys, and I mean, just when you needed a play, when you needed something big to happen, when you needed somebody to take over, you called on them. And it wasn't flashy. It wasn't, braggadocious. It was just show up and get the job done. 9 to 5, clock in, clock out. And then when they come back after, you just say, hey, yeah, I had a good game, and you keep them moving. Like that is art. I love the flash. I love all the blah, blah, blah. But that is when I'm coaching, I'm telling them this is who you need to emulate. This is the guy you need to emulate. You mentioned it. He broke the record for most receptions in a career. It was Steve Largent had the record. I believe it was 819 at the time. And Art broke that record in a game against the Denver Broncos in 1992. Let me see. I believe I have it. Yes. There we go.
Here's Monk now.
There it is.
And in motion, and all eyes are on number 81, including Rippon. There it is. Oh, there it is.
Everyone's patting him up. Everyone.
Well,
The whole team came on. I love that.
Mm-hmm. And you know what you're seeing right here, Sean? These jerseys are what you're going to see there. So November 2nd, you've got Art Monk jersey retirement. You got the return of the jerseys that he's wearing right now. Don't even show up, Seattle. It's over.
Let's go. Oh, Art, man. Well worth it. So glad, and I'm not gonna lie. It was nice flashing back to some of that old stuff there. Watching those old games. But yeah, shout out to Art. I mean, that's when he broke the record. He ended with 940 receptions. And like you said, everybody is going to know from that 80s, early 90s era, Jerry Rice. Obviously, Jerry Rice, greatest wide receiver of all time. But some could argue if you go around the stats, Art Monk was right up there. Like you said, right there with Jerry. And at the time, he had more receptions. Now, Jerry didn't start till 85. Art was there, I believe, in 80, 79 or 80 is when he came in. But yeah, shout out to him. This is so well deserved.
Anthony knows. I mean, he was in the area for it. He knows how his the greatness.
Yeah. I mean, he is that guy, man. So shout out to him, the founding member of the Posse. Something we need to get back to. We got one more thing we are going to talk about real quick, but before we do that, we're going to take a quick commercial break. Shout out to my guy Anton Benton of Awesome Artisans. He has been doing a lot of great work. Definitely get in touch with him, and we will be right back. Yeah, buddy. That was my guy, Anton Benton of Awesome Artisans on Facebook and Instagram, awesome_artisans. Definitely check him out. I try to share whenever he posts something. I mean, this guy travels up and down the East Coast all the way towards the Midwest. This guy does decks, does pergolas, does closets. sets up TV stands. I mean, out of scratch. I mean, he put up this one thing where they had the TV mounted on the wall, and he ended up setting up a stand that kind of came out, and you could set it up and have things underneath. I mean, it was amazing to see all the different work that he's been able to do. And shout out to him. He works hard. He's a good worker, and he definitely will come to you. You know, barring you being super far away, but he'll definitely do his best to get to you. So shout out to Town Benson, awesome artisans, and definitely another Washington fan. So we got to represent that. Represent that. Yo, it's your boy Sean Spencer. That's my guy, South Carolina's finest, Will Kramer, and this is Washington Football Weekly. We appreciate you guys who have stuck with us all the way through here, and we're almost done. Before we get out of here, we do have to talk about some things. We talked about training camp. We talked about all the people that we saw at training camp, and a lot of those are new faces. Obviously, Laramie Tunsil, obviously Debo. You got some of the rookies in here. But there's another guy that we got. A little older, a little up there in age, but any other year you go back and look at this guy and you're just like, whoo, this guy's a stud. And begs the question again, why did he want to come to Washington? I get it now. We're the success. It just shows our stock is rising. That's what I should have said. Washington is a team. Our stock is rising. But Will, Von Miller signing with Washington, 1-year deal. Talk to me about this. What is it, a $6 million like his base contract, and then with incentives about a little over $10 million. What are your thoughts about this?
Do you have flashbacks to 2000, Sean?
The greatness. Oh God.
I think it's a solid signing. I think it's worth a flyer. In his role playing as a third down pass rush specialist, can he do what Dante Fowler did? I believe so, and so I think it's good. And also what we also are bringing in, we've got some young players that are prominent positions, but we've got a couple veterans, Zach Ertz, Bobby Wagner. Now you got Von Miller, who've been there. They've won championships. And they're bringing that pedigree. This is how you do it. This is how you prepare. This is how you go through the grind of the season. This is how you ignore the noise and focus, So having that type of presence never hurts. I'll take a bet. He's going to have less than 6 sacks in the season. I'll bet anyone that. But I think he could still have an impact. So I'm good with it. He's wearing Champ's old number to honor him. That's pretty cool. But I'm not like, yeah, we got Von Miller.
Right. This isn't you talk about 2000 getting Bruce Smith. It took me a while for a second. I was like, yes, I remember that. Is Dion available? Hey, and shout out to Dion. All the medical things are taken care of. He had, I believe, bladder cancer, and that was removed. So shout out to him. We'll see what he does in Colorado. That's what I thought. And I mean, look, for the name's sake, I go back to last year with us getting Wagner, and it's like, wow, you want to come to Washington? But then it's also like, he's in his 15th year, so okay. It's equally, let's see if they can get the success, but it's also, I'm going to get my paycheck and I can play out a year. You know what I mean? And it was just icing on the cake that we went as far as we did. But then you get in a guy like this, and to your point about the veteran leadership and having a guy that's been there, I mean, Super Bowl 50 MVP, where his Broncos beat Cam Newton and the Panthers. And I mean, by having him there, people will give him that respect. I mean, he's gotten a bunch of one-off. I think he was with Buffalo, and then did he win a Super Bowl with the Rams a couple years back? Like, you know what I mean? So obviously he's kind of like Wagner, going to teams, doing these one-off deals, seeing, kind of getting around. It makes you feel really good that he's coming here, but I agree with you 100%. Where the first thing I thought was is that's $10 million you could have put towards Terry. You know what I mean? I'm just saying, if we could have got Terry out done first, and then you could. But I get it. But it is I have written down what's his usage. What are we really looking for? You're not going to get the guy that's going to play 100 stats. You're not going to get the guy that's going to play every single down. He's going to be a situational guy. It's going to be somebody that's going to come in and help. But like you said, he'll get people lined up. He'll be. You got a guy on the D line. You got a guy in the middle, and now you got a guy in the secondary. All three facets of the defense have a veteran leadership. I like that. I see what we're doing in here, but realistically, you have to ask yourself, how long are we really going to get with this guy? Even with him playing like sparingly, realistically, how long are we going to get? And is any of that going to be, I don't want to say prime Von Miller, but I mean,
right.
Our Von Miller, like, you know what I mean? Like this guy's an 8-time Pro Bowler, 3-time All-Pro, but are we getting that? But then I flip it over and I look over at Bobby Wagner, and he balled out for us last year.
He did. Yeah.
So I mean, I don't know. I love this move. I'm excited about it, but and maybe this is just me with Washington. I'm always cautiously optimistic.
Yes.
This one to me seems like it was a great analogy. 2000. It's like, you're like, oh, I'm so glad I'm getting these guys, but they're so old now. It's like, we'll see what happens. I mean, look, for the contract, for what most likely he'll be doing, and it's exciting to see. He's going to put butts in the seats. We know people are going to come out just to see the Wagners and Lattimore and now Von Miller. It's exciting, but
yep.
I'll wait and see the regular season.
Right.
And once he gets that first sack, it's like
over under 6. Yes, I'll go nuts when he gets a sack, but over under 6 sacks, we'll see.
Yeah. I just. Oof. But then again, you're sitting here looking at who was it? Dorrance? Who was it? Not Armstrong. Dante Fowler Jr., who had 10. So you're like, maybe in this team, I mean,
yes.
We'll see. Oh man, look. And look, that's almost it. Actually, before we do, we got one more thing. I did want to talk about the stadium deal. No, we're not going to talk about what the president said about the name, although my buddy is excited what it might be. The stadium deal, we look like, if I'm not mistaken, it was approved, and we're full steam ahead on the stadium.
If it hasn't been approved, it's about to be. Yeah, I mean, it is. Council has had their opportunity to tweak the deal. They have changed it from what was proposed in April, but I mean, this is a huge deal for Mayor Bowser. It's a huge deal for DC to take that parcel of land and get it redeveloped in a multifaceted way. She announced today on July the 30th that it's going to be a dome stadium. It's going to have a roof. We're going to be hosting the NCAA championships. We're going to be hosting the Super Bowl. They are going to be bringing billions of dollars, to use the favorite phrase of our current president, into Washington, D.C. Billions with a B with that. So It is a huge deal for D.C. and it's the right deal. Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah. And shout out to our guy Ab, who was saying Ben Cornette.
Yeah.
Hilarious.
Let's practice there.
Yeah. We'll see. Good practice in the front lawn. Shout out to our guy Ab, who he shared I guess the tweet of what's Washington getting, what are we getting, what are we investing, that stuff. And he made a point that this is interesting that she's going up around re-election time.
Yeah, he's trying to help re-election campaign, right?
Oh yeah, right. Yeah. Pushing the needle.
Ball game, folks.
Hey, well, it's long overdue. You said it 3 or 4 years ago. If you build the stadium, they will come. Which means the Super Bowl, the draft. Obviously, you said NCAA tournament, all that stuff. It's exciting. Let's go. I mean, if that's what we're gonna do. People are still going to have mixed emotions, especially the people that live right around there. We're still wanting to make sure that everything goes well for them and they're able to thrive in this situation. But we'll see. But it's definitely great seeing Washington get RFK back, potentially. Yes. So there it is. Ladies and gentlemen. All right, well, look, we are going to head out of here. Washington Football Weekly is back. Training camp is here. Tomorrow, the Hall of Fame game, ladies and gentlemen. Football is officially back tomorrow. Yes, and we are only 3 or 4 weeks away from action. This is MAC conference football, college football, baby. It's almost here. So it's been a long off season, but we are definitely back, and I'm excited about it. So for my guy, Will Kramer, it's your boy, Sean Spencer. This has been Washington Football Weekly. And since we just talked about the stadium deal, I'm going to send you guys out with Joe Theismann talking about the deal. Peace, people.
Hear the crowds. When I first stepped into RFK Stadium, I knew I'd found a home. The roar of the fans, the energy of the city, united as one, was unlike anything I'd ever experienced. RFK Stadium was the stage for the world's greatest in sports, culture, and entertainment. All in the heart of our nation's capital. It's time to revive that legacy. Let's bring the Commanders home. A new stadium will serve as the anchor for the RFK site, unlocking new opportunities for generations to come. This means new housing, new restaurants, retail, and public spaces are all possible. The stadium development will create new access to the Anacostia waterfront while preserving some of our city's treasures. A world-class city deserves a world-class stadium, uniting a sea of burgundy and gold. Something that unites us in our pride for the district. The time is now. Let's bring Washington back to D.C.